Welcome back to Studio F, where today on Fast Times with Willy B, we'll be talking about Thanksgiving. Gentlemen, let's broaden our mind.
Russ?
Welcome back to Fast Times with Willy B. I'm Willy B. Today I got on the show Zach. Zach, how we doing today?
Good. Glad to be here.
For sure. Thank you for coming on. We'll be talking about Thanksgiving, the newest holiday slasher, directed by Eli Roth. A little bit of a teaser, mess-around trailer a few years ago. Fans push him to make this, and we get it. Decent cast, Nell Verloc, she plays the lead role Jess. Patrick Dempsey's in this one from
Grey's Anatomy.
Yes, sir. He plays the sheriff, Addison Rae, a big name in this one. She plays Jess's friend, Gabby. And then Rick Hoffman, he's the father. A lot of other names in this movie, minor names. But nonetheless, let's get into the good. Where do you want to start?
Let's start right at the very beginning, I guess, from what sets up the killer's origins.
Yeah, so we get a little bit of a backstory here, and it starts off weird, which we'll get into that in the bad. It starts off a little weird, kind of chaotic, but it hits the ground running. And we have like this Black Friday scene where our father figure, Rick Hoffman, he keeps his store open on Black Friday. And
they open on Thanksgiving evening.
Yeah, 6 p.m. And it's a Black Friday crowd that you imagine, but it never really happens.
It's the Black Friday crowd that you always hear about, but you've never been a part of, luckily.
In Alliance, Ohio, Canton, Ohio, wherever you're at. But it's chaos, but we get a cool backstory in the sense that this killer, a year later, is wearing, they're in Plymouth, Massachusetts. He's wearing the mask of the founder of Plymouth, and the first thing we get is this Instagram post saying the table is set, and it's kind of everybody from that first night, kind of, weak, but it's still fun of a backstory.
Yeah, there's some good and bad with that.
For sure.
We'll get into that a little bit as well.
And so after this chaos ensues is when the movie really starts to settle in for me. And we get our first attack, and the first attack is very good.
Yes.
Our killer attacks this waitress who was one of the rude crowds people.
Yeah, well, let me just go ahead before you go into that. The killer's going after people that were easily visible in this viral video that a bunch of people got killed in this crazy riot, basically.
Yeah, and the first is this waitress, and we get a little bit of, Halloween and Friday the 13th feel of the head dunk, and then he sticks her face to the freezer cooler, and all of this, you're like, okay, this is kind of cool.
It looked pretty sick at that point. I was pretty excited.
And we won't finish this scene because that turns to the bad side. So let's keep talking about the good. But the first attack overall, very fun. We get introduced to the killer in a fun way, pays homage a little bit to some classic kills. Yeah. And, it's a fun start to a cheesy slasher.
I really liked the costume, too. I'll just say that from the very beginning.
Unique, dressed as a pilgrim, wears, like I said, the mask. And now we kind of run away from here, it's just a killing spree at this point. And the next one's the security guard, who, in my opinion, was just a knockoff Chris Farley.
Yeah, Tim Dillon. Yeah. Comedian Tim Dillon. He plays a security guard who kind of is part of the reason the riot happens because he got freaked out by everything going on and he bailed.
Yeah. And so he's getting punished for being the coward.
Yeah.
And I like this scene a lot. We get the decapitation kill, but what comes after the decapitation is a reveal of that table that he posted on Instagram with the first girl's dead body, his head, and that he's kind of setting the table with his victims, which was kind of like a cool twist.
Yeah, that was the point when Will looked at me in the theater and was like, okay, yeah.
I'm starting to get behind this.
Yeah, we got something here.
Yeah, and so that reveal was kind of cool. It did lead to... Really, the dialogue overall was fairly decent, but that reveal led to some cheesy dialogue, which we'll get into in the bad.
Yeah, okay, I'll wait.
But when you go on and on with the good, it's almost just the kills, because then you got the trampoline kill, which
That's an iconic one from the trailer. I
Yes.
was really looking forward to that being in the movie, and it surpassed my expectations, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we get the trampoline kill. We get what we saw in the trailer, the corn cob. That turns in like getting the skewers into the
was
ears.
Insane.
That turned into an insane kill.
Yeah.
But most of the good is honestly the creativity, I guess, I would say.
Yeah, it was very Thanksgiving dinner oriented. A lot of the kills. It's definitely a new holiday movie for Thanksgiving, honestly.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of Thanksgiving movies. But, you know, we also get the headless turkey in the parade. The turkey's head gets chopped off, which is kind of insane because it felt very Joker-esque because our killer's now in a clown suit.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Throwing
at the
colorful
parade.
smoke grenades. Yep. Very Joker-esque, but...
Well, I liked that, though, because you kind of had an idea of where you thought the killer was standing, and then it was just somewhere completely
twisted.
else.
Yeah. And honestly, right here is where we get, you know, our main cast is all kidnapped and now taken to this Thanksgiving dinner, and we get what I'm coining as the rake and bake, which is the stepmom
you
of our main character.
You would not stop laughing in the theater about that.
I loved it. The stepmom in this movie is getting butter basted and then kind of sneaks away, and as she's running out the door, the killer throws a rake through her and then puts her in the oven and bakes her.
Yeah, I went, oh, shit.
Yeah, that was insane. Super fun. I mean, not if you're the stepmom, but as far as like cheesy slasher kills go, super fun. And then, you know, we have one of the friends goes viral, the one that releases the video.
Yeah.
Just a lot of fun kills. And the story, honestly, was pretty well put together.
Yeah, for being based off of a 3-minute trailer 15 years ago, I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah. There's not much to complain about as far as like technical goes, technical side of things. I thought the, you know, practical effects were fun. You know, there were some that were, we'll get into the bad. The first kill was probably on the cheesier side, but most of the practical effects were pretty good. I thought, you know, the sound was really good. The score, you know, was your basic like score pack.
It was what it needed to be. It was what it needed to be.
Yeah, it was, you know, you download it, the royalty-free score pack.
Yeah.
And when things were sad, it was what you expected. When things were getting intense, it was what you expected.
Eli Roth, he knows how to make movies on a smaller budget, so I'm willing to bet this movie did not have the biggest budget, but it still looked pretty good.
Yeah, but there's not a lot.
Patrick Dempsey absolutely killed it.
Oh, for sure.
By the way.
I didn't think any of the acting was bad.
No.
At the beginning, really. I thought the worst acting was the first 15, 20 minutes.
It was like douchey, but they were definitely supposed to be like that.
Yeah, and something we mentioned after the first initial thoughts after the theaters was for, you know, this high school crowd, they were actually like, you kind of rooted for them, you know?
Yeah, it was like the first 10 minutes kind of had it like, you know, I'm not really going to care about any of these characters, but as it went on, you really did start rooting for them, actually.
Yeah, and you didn't want any of them to die, unfortunately.
Yeah.
In a slasher movie,
you kind of know what you're getting into.
You know what you're getting, but
can't get attached to anybody really.
Overall, I had a lot of fun with this movie. Is it cheesy? Yes, but it's.
I mean, it's based around a holiday.
It's another holiday slasher that you can have a lot of fun with.
Yeah.
And, you know, obviously a few weeks ago I reviewed It's a Wonderful Knife. It's in that same boat for me. Like, yes, there's obvious flaws, and we'll get into some of them, but for the most part, it held up. And the critics are receiving this movie really well, too, which is kind of crazy to see.
You took Thanksgiving or...
Thanksgiving.
Okay, yeah.
It's a Wonderful Knife kind of got crapped on, which I don't understand.
Did it really?
But Thanksgiving, you know, it's being very well received.
Yeah, so far it seems like the critics are liking it.
I'm right there with them, honestly.
Yeah, for sure.
So
do you have the right idea?
Do you have anything like standing out that you'd like to add to the good?
You know, I thought that every single, to an extent, I thought every kill looked good for what they were trying to do. Obviously, they were going for some over the top stuff. You know, I liked how you kind of had that Scream vibe where it was like you were guessing the whole time who the killer was, but you kept second guessing yourself and you would still end up being wrong.
Yeah, that's another good mention too. Like the whodunit aspect was great, but they also, you know, found a way to pay homage to a lot of the tropes, just like Scream
Yeah.
does. You know, they had the scene where he's standing outside the school, just like
Yeah, we were.
Halloween.
Yeah, that part was so close to the beginning. We were kind of worried that was. We were like, is this about to just rip off every single
Then
horror
Texas
movie?
Chainsaw Massacre when the mom is baked and she's served as a turkey to these people.
Yeah,
You get the,
and the dad starts throwing up through the ball gag. And
Yeah, it was cool to see that though, like kind of like.
yeah, it's
You always love
fucked
seeing
up, but I was
inspiration.
kind of laughing through
Yeah.
that a little bit. It was like very well made.
Yeah.
It was very well made.
Well, let's hop over to the bad, and there's not a lot of bad. A lot of it's mostly nitpicky, and obviously, let's start. The Black Friday crowd was kind of unbearable there for a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah, they were like, as soon as we are introduced to them, they are all like fuck you, let us over the fence, like, and it's like people are not that rabid.
No, and it was to the point where I was like leaning over to you, and I was like, "What are we watching?"
Yeah, he was like, "What is going on?" And then it's like a high school football rivalry is basically what sets the whole thing off, and it's like that is the dumbest thing ever. But then it ends up fitting because this movie was very cheesy in a good way.
And my point to the weak start, like I thought it was fun, but it was weak in the sense like this is where we probably saw our worst effects, where we saw our worst deaths.
Yeah,
Like, you know, we
I'll
got
agree with
the
that
piece
for
of
sure.
glass in the window through the guy's neck was kind of cheesy, and then
And then like
wife,
and then that part was stupid too because
by
everyone
a
just
shopping cart.
everyone kept grabbing the waffle maker from him. Like
Yeah.
nobody gave a shit about the guy
Yeah.
who was bleeding all over the floor.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know.
the one girl gets a cart to the head and is killed, and like gets her scalp peeled off, and
Yeah.
then we also see like the broken wrist, which was not the greatest broken wrist we've ever seen, but from the baseball star.
This guy gets stomped on his like lower wrist. It gets stomped on and it just like completely snaps his whole arm in half, and it's like that might happen for sure, but it was like, oh, whoa, that was out of
Yeah.
nowhere.
But like once that's done,
Oh, sorry. Let me. One of the good things also, they showed a really realistic ankle break.
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
we both were like, that was the most
Like,
painful thing in the entire
you
movie.
start to like
All
crack
the-
your own ankles.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that was
curl your toes and stuff.
that was a little gross, but yes, that was also really good. But outside, once the Black Friday scenes, because even here's where we like thought the kids were at their worst because they're in the truck like talking shit on the other high school, and like you're like sitting here like,
Yeah,
oh, this looks like a movie that was made on TikTok at first.
Yeah, fuck Hanover.
Yeah, yeah.
So apologies if there are any real schools named Hanover out there.
But once we get past that, and then the first attack happens, and that's like when I said it started turning up. But then it turns into the first kill where the waitress is now outside and she's running away from the killer who stole her car.
Yeah,
and she gets,
he was waiting in the car, which I did not expect. I will say that I was like, oh damn, he's in the car.
and
Okay.
she's like jumping into a garbage receptacle.
Yeah, the
and-
worst possible thing she could have chosen to
Yeah.
do, which she did, which is what you would expect.
Yeah, and he runs into this garbage can and it folds the lids over and chops her in half. That's like the worst kill we get.
Yeah, I laughed because I was like, okay, this is what I was like. This movie's about to be like an hour and 50 minutes of this.
Yeah.
But to be fair, all the kills got much better.
Yes, and that's what I was gonna say. Like that first attack was like when it started turning, and that kill happened. I was like, no, please, come on. And the last hour really settled in. That's where most of the good came from. Outside of that, like I said, the dialogue was pretty good. But one of the bad dialogue points I want to talk about is after the reveal of the head and the body at the table. The one girl, Jess goes, our main character. She goes, those must be our names at the table. And I'm like,
Oh,
you didn't get
yeah.
that from being tagged in the Instagram post?
I leaned over to Will and I was like, subtlety is dead.
Yeah. So that was probably the only bad dialogue, I would say.
And all the cringy stuff in the beginning.
I mean, in that last hour, it kind of settled in, like the writing and everything.
Yeah.
But the only other thing I really have to nitpick is the football uniforms were kind of bad. Tiny ass numbers.
Yeah, they were like those weird T-shirts that are like skinny at the waist, but they get wider as you go up. But they didn't look anything close to football uniforms.
They were bad, but outside of that, like I said, it's little things you can nitpick about. Obviously, it's cheesy. It has all the tropes, but it's still a good story at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was bummed out because it had got to the point everyone was swearing quite a bit, and I was rooting for. We were about an hour in at this point, I think.
Yeah.
I was rooting for Patrick Dempsey because he hadn't said "fuck" yet, and I was rooting for him to not.
dropped
And then like
3.
5 minutes later, he says 3, and I was like, damn.
Within like seconds of each other, and you were like, they're so
Yeah, I
close.
was genuinely upset for a second.
He might have ended up with 15 by the end of the movie.
Yeah. Everybody said it.
popped off.
I thought everyone said it quite a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care, but
Yeah, don't take your kids to this.
no, definitely not. If the gore wasn't enough to keep your kids away, the
strong
swearing
language.
is a lot.
Yeah, but like I said, when it comes to bad, it's nitpicky things like that. Like you're rooting for certain things in the movie that don't happen. But at the end of the day, I thought there wasn't much to gripe about with this one.
Not really, no. Like the first 20 minutes, but it was kind of. It also kind of felt like Eli Roth didn't really know how to. He had to set. They told him, you have to set this up somehow,
And that's what he came up
and
with.
he was like, "All right, I'll do this."
Yeah. And like I said, the first 20 minutes obviously the worst part of the movie, but even then it fits. And that's why I said it's a weak but still fun, good opening because albeit super cheesy and the effects kind of
it would make
start off
sense
pretty
that
bad.
it would make sense that somebody who was there that night would be that pissed off that they would want to kill everybody else.
Yeah, and obviously, you know what? We've obviously spoiled a lot of this movie, but we should keep the killer.
Oh, definitely.
Let's keep it quiet.
That was
A cool twist.
yeah, like 20 minutes before I set in stone my pick and it was right, but
It was
up
still,
till then I was guessing every
it kept
5
you
minutes.
guessing,
Yeah.
We'll keep that a secret. That was kind of a cool twist, and honestly, in that alone, it should make you go and check this one out.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's head over to our final thoughts. So, anything else you'd like to add on this movie? Good, bad, indifferent?
I liked all the homages to classic horror movies like Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the really fucked up dinner scene.
Yeah.
Because everyone there is just having the worst time imaginable.
Yeah.
And Scream also with the whole whodunit aspect and the mystery of the killer. There were times that it was bordering on a ripoff of Scream, but it cleverly saved itself from being that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not that being a ripoff of Scream would be a bad thing.
No,
I mean,
not
they
at
made,
all.
what are they on, Scream 6, 7?
Yeah, 7's coming out
7.
soon.
7.
Yeah. Scream's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But my big thing with this, like you said, it's pays homage to the others, but it still lands on its feet on its own. And I want more of this.
And we were mad about the football uniforms. That's how you know there was really not much wrong with this.
Yeah. It's a movie. I want more movies like this, and we've gotten them this year, I think.
Commit to more holidays.
Yes. And like I said, I've always wanted more horror anthologies, but movies like this that set themselves apart that are different. We don't have very many Thanksgiving movies. And I'll lump these 3 movies together. I think Dark Harvest, It's a Wonderful Knife, and this Thanksgiving are all 3 movies that came out in the last month. All 3 movies that I think will get looked past because of the low budget and it being a slasher. All 3 I think deserve credit. I think they're all 3 the same score, which we'll get into.
Those other 2, Dark Harvest and It's a Wonderful Knife, I would probably agree with you. But this one, I don't know because, like I've already said a couple of times, Eli Roth he's already like a respected name in horror. So critics will go into that expecting something.
I'm just saying I think, it will probably get more eyes on it. I mean, it's already getting a bigger theater release, but plus, Dark Harvest didn't even get a theater release.
Yeah, I've never even heard of that movie.
That's Amazon Prime, baby. I rented it on Prime, but I'm just saying I think those 3 movies are all on the same level of good and deserve the same respect, and I hope they get that.
Okay.
Especially if you're a horror fan. If you're a horror fan and you're not going to see those 3 movies, you're really missing out. Yeah. Especially slasher.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of the Screams and the Friday the 13th and you don't check these 3 movies out,
as gory as it was too, this kind of felt like a date movie too. In a weird way, you could have
fun with it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, we just went the 2 of us, so
yeah, shared popcorn.
Yeah.
The boys sharing popcorn. It's allowed to happen.
I was all for it. All for it.
Well, we didn't share sodas. We set a line.
Yeah, I tried to do 2 straws in the slushy, but you couldn't bring yourself to that.
I was feeling my cherry Coke tonight, but let's go into our final scores. So we'll go out of 10. We kind of talked where we were sitting on a range after leaving the theater, but where we fallen at tonight? The tough one.
Yeah, I know. It was tough because, like, when we were talking about it beforehand, we were teetering between two whole numbers, but I narrowed it down to, I think, two halves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would, as much as I want to give this an 8, no, you know what? I am going to give it an 8. I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to give it an 8. 8.
So we're on the same boat.
All right, nice.
I was sitting there too, and I was like, the point you made. If the football jerseys,
and it loses the 2 from the nitpicky shit and the first 20 minutes. That's it.
Yeah, the last hour and 20 is super fun, super good. Actually, like a fun story to follow, and I think that's what landed it for me. Is you might not have started in the best way, but you finished.
Yeah,
and
that's the important.
That's all I can ask for at the end of the day. And like you said, if the football jerseys and the first 15, maybe 20 minutes is what's holding you back, it's at least a 7 or an 8.
Yeah.
Now, if a movie starts well and falls off a cliff, I kind of penalize it more. That's what I'm saying. If you can end strong...
No, an ending is probably more important than the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm going to land on 8 for this one, because the ending was strong.
Yeah.
So, any final thoughts on Thanksgiving before we part?
I would just definitely recommend to go see it, whether with your friends, with a date, even by yourself.
If you're a slasher fan.
Yeah, I'm adding this to my Blu-ray collection as soon as it comes out, for sure.
This will be a buy. If you're a slasher fan, definitely go check it out. If you're looking for a fun date night, go check it out. If you're 7 friends who want to do something stupid, go check it out.
Yeah.
It fits. I mean, there will obviously be people that hate this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's
media, but
it's definitely cheesy. So
it's easy for most people, 16 to even 45 to have fun with.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Because anyone who's seen Grey's Anatomy will probably be interested in this because Patrick Dempsey is back.
He's back. That'll do it for Thanksgiving. Thank you, Zach.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you buying me my movie ticket.
Of course. Just looking out for a friend there.
Yeah, hey.
But thank you all for tuning in and checking out. If you haven't already, please go check out Thanksgiving. And if you like what you're watching, hit the subscribe button, comment, go follow the social links. They'll be down in the description below. But Zach, thanks again for coming on. Obviously,
thanks again for having me.
You plan on coming back for some more horror stuff.
I'd love to be back. For sure.
Thank you guys all again for checking this out, and have a great day. We'll talk to you all soon. Peace.